Okay, and we are live. The boys from Going for Two are making their first appearance on the ASAP Sports Network. And boys, we couldn't be happier. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. As always, our weekend update is presented by CoolBet. Our friends at CoolBet Canada. For anybody in Canada, hit us up. We can get you a quick link for that. But let's start off. We're gonna go around the horn here really quickly, and we're just gonna kind of talk about how the show came to be really quickly and kind of what we do. So I'm going to fire it up to my man, Chad, who will give you a rundown because he's really the guy that birthed this thing.
So, yeah, last summer, we were all locked down, and I was like, holy shit, man, I'm going crazy. And I was talking to one of my good friends, and he was like, dude, no one loves football more than you. He's like, and you get excited talking about it. He's like, I don't even like football, but I like watching you talk about football. He's like, why don't you start a podcast or something? He's like, all you need is your phone, a headset, and you can do this. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, who do I talk football with nonstop with? And it was Shane. Literally, I don't think we have a day goes by where we weren't talking about football, talking about fantasy football. I was like, hey, man, I'm going crazy. I have this wild idea. Do you want to start a podcast? And all he said to me was, do you have any idea what you're doing? And I said, not a fucking clue. So that's when we called Liam, which you guys can't see right now.
Yeah.
He became our tech guy because we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't even know how to like make a video on a phone that day.
Yeah. And we didn't know what the word rendering was. Liam had to break it all down for us. And Chad and I had a couple of episodes, and then we had a guest on. And that is the man in the CoolBet sweater. That is Kalen. And you know what? We just kind of vibed, and Kalen decided, like, you know what? I want in on this, boys. So Kalen, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, like, back history for, everybody else here involved too. I've known Shane here for probably going on 17 years now at this point, or 18 years. And
Back
I've
to high school.
Yeah, and I mean, I could probably say when I first met Chad, but like I was probably so drunk that I don't actually remember the first time. Maybe
same. I was working though.
Yeah, so we crossed paths quite a bit, and then you guys ended up linking up through working together, and I saw this, and we worked in the restaurant industry too. I thought, like, I missed the conversation that we lost when COVID happened, when I changed jobs and didn't have that bar industry anymore, and I thought, what better way than to shoot the breeze with a couple of guys I've known for years about sports that I thoroughly love, and to make it seem like we're just at the bar again, which is something we've been doing since we were probably 15 years old, sneaking in, right? So yeah, that's how we came to be, and fun is where your friends are. So I stuck around when you guys asked me, and here we are.
Well, yeah, 100%. And this is, full disclosure, this is our third live show ever. We've done about 40 episodes or so, which we continue to post them on our Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, but you'll see all the links that are around us. But yeah, let's jump right in, boys. So recently, the college football playoffs had submitted a proposal to go to 12 teams. Now, currently, nobody's happy with the 4-team system. I mean, that is obvious. Whoever came up with that is a stooge. And this 12-team system maybe could be a little bit too much growth, but I want to get your guys' opinions on it because I looked at how it would have all broke down if this was implemented last year, and it looked like we would have been in for some pretty exciting football. So as college football fans, do you guys get fired? I know Kalen does because Texas is never a top 4 team.
Oh, shots fired. Well done. Well done. The Big 12 is a little rough. I'm not going to lie. I will be honest. Chad's the bigger college football fan than I am, for sure. So I'm kind of an outsider looking at this rule change. 12 is a lot. To me, that you are making it too big. You've basically turned this into a mini March Madness tournament almost at the same time. It's just too many teams. We know who the top-notch teams are. 6 is enough. We know who the top 6 in the country are. Beyond 6, you don't really have an argument. In my opinion, I mean, there's going to be some Homer fans that may say that their team deserves to be in that top 6. But in reality, we know who the top 6 power teams are. Let's go with that rather than jump to 12 and realistically probably have to downsize in a few years because we realize it's too much, right?
Yeah. Well, I think once you add it, like, there's no way you're going backwards. So if you add it and it's diluted, then you're stuck with it. But anytime I hear the words playoffs and football in the same sentence, I mean, I'm cool with that. I don't know how the schedule would work because it's really adding 2 extra weeks onto a college season, which then you're cutting into more of like a scouting and the off season that would go along with drafts. But I can't imagine a guy would opt out of a college football playoff. Like, Chad, I know that you love opt out, so I'm gonna pass this one over to you.
Yeah, I can't fucking stand when anybody opts out.
Oh yeah, full disclosure. Chad's gonna swear a little bit, so he can't help himself.
A lot of disclosure. I'm gonna swear a lot of it.
Yeah, he can't help himself. He's gonna try and keep it under control, though.
I do agree 12 might be a bit much.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I think if they were to go down to the 8, which is the other number they're kind of talking about, you're not benefiting by being a 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Right.
Because you're not getting that bye. So the reason they're going with 12 is to get that, kind of like that whole like play-in system. And like I'm all for it. Like I said, we know who the top 4 teams are every year. But like the discrepancy between 1 and 4, as a Notre Dame fan, I can tell you it is massive when you're the 4 seed.
Right.
Even sometimes you're the 3 seed, it doesn't make a difference. Like you said, you already know who the power schools are. It's not benefiting those schools. And that's what everybody has to realize. Like Alabama doesn't make a difference. Ohio State, they're going to be there. Outside of that, like Clemson, they're going to win the ACC. We know that.
Right.
It's benefiting 4 through 12. And it's going to be depending what seed that you get. And as we've seen in the last couple of years, a team like Central Florida, when they went undefeated, they got no love.
Right.
Coastal Carolina got nothing last year, and they had a great year. Cincinnati, like they almost beat a big Power 5 school last year, Georgia. They almost beat in their bowl game. They played a hell of a game. So it's going to benefit the smaller conferences to give them that chance. And the one nice thing is it's going to give them the exposure for recruiting. It's when you actually win your conference, you can come out and say, as you're bringing in recruits, hey, like we won the Sun Belt last year. We got into the college football playoff. It's going to give like those smaller schools that one national TV game at least. So it kind of gives more exposure for those players. And then if you want to play the devil's advocate, though, 4 is more than enough for all the reasons I just said. That 4 is enough. We all know who they are.
Right.
The players are not benefiting from this. They're not getting paid. I know they're going to court this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, they may like that extra payday.
But like you said, like we have the kid from Clemson. We have Aiden Swanson on our show a couple times now from Clemson.
Yep.
The second Thanksgiving's done, it's exam time. So it's exams and football only, right?
Right.
Now, but they get a month to prep for those games. They can get that way. They can spend a week or 2 on their exams because all college athletes graduate, is what I'm told. Right? That's what they keep telling us.
I think the graduation rate is 100%.
I actually saw this today. I was looking it up when we were talking with this, and it's for the first time ever. It's over 90% as NCAA Division I sports.
Jeez, is that just last year's numbers?
Yeah, but they didn't say football. They said all of NCAA sports. So I think that
chess players are what's doing it.
Those fencers are getting those degrees to help us out. Right. But so like these kids, like now they're going to exams. You're putting more pressure on them, and their body. And this is like what Shane's with the opt-out. Like it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like how do you go to school for 4 years, 5 years with these guys who you call brothers? It's like well, you know what? Well, thanks for doing everything for me and get me to the next level. Now I'm out. And now you're adding 2 more games into that for some of these guys. That could be three extra games on their body. That's X amount of hits, X amount of sprints. You make one cut wrong, there goes your knee. You're not going in the first round anymore. You're not going in the second round anymore. So I think that's the one part they're going to really have to look at. And like I said, as fans, it benefits us, and we're all for it. And TV networks, 100% all for it. Schools are all for it, but no one's looking at what the players want. And they're not going to have a voice anyway, so I don't even know why I'm making it sound like they might have a say in this.
Yeah, Chad's the voice of the people.
Like I said, as a fan, as a Notre Dame guy, 100% I want that playoff. I get an extra Notre Dame game before we get stomped by Alabama in the first round.
Well, I mean, Alabama probably won't be playing in the first round, so you might be able to win a playoff game.
I meant if we win only 4 teams.
Yeah.
Shit, you were just firing shots everywhere tonight, eh, Shane? No conference is safe.
Yeah, I can't help myself. I'm
We're not in a conference.
I'm on a different level. So the yeah, like 12 teams, I think 12 teams would be cool. I think that it would help us with some of the at-large bids that get missed out. Like a team like Florida, who kind of missed out on getting in last year, and they were the seven seed. I would have loved to see them, even if it was an 8-team playoff. I can't remember who was number 2, but was it Clemson number 2?
Ohio State.
Okay, so imagine a Florida Ohio State game in January when we got nothing else to do on a Saturday. But I mean, we're snowed in. We might as well watch something. Yeah. So I think that would be unreal, and that would have been Kyle Trask versus Justin Fields last year. I don't know, man. That sounds like good TV to me. Yeah, I mean, we'll see overall how that turns out. I think the proposal was just submitted. And really, what we're talking about probably isn't going to happen for a few years anyway, because these games and schedules are predetermined like 6-7 years in advance.
Couldn't even get the playoff in, and players wanted that for like 8 years.
Right.
So I mean, we may be long gray in the beard before it even happens.
I think the one big thing too is that if they are going to add that in, and I think they have to lose a regular season game. Give them an extra bye week during the season, like. So I'll be bluntly honest. There's no slapdick teams in the NCAA that you can go on without playing. So if you're going to make them play the extra game in the playoff, I think they do deserve a bye week. There's no reason for these kids to be playing 17 games. Like once again, they're not getting paid. So what for? That's strictly for our benefit and the TV networks to get their $1 dues. But yeah, so I don't know. I just think that they have to try to find that happy medium between making the players happy, which at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck about the players. It's all about money at the end of the day, and how they're going to make it for the rest of all the athletics, because we all know football keeps the world going strong down there. But yeah, it's a tough way to go, and I hope they figure it out. Like I said, I think that I like that 6 number, Kalen. I'm actually a big fan of that. You know, I usually don't agree that very often, but I will say that 6 I think is the proper number. But yeah, I think if you get to that 8 number and that 12, I think you're just letting teams in the playoffs. It's supposed to be tough to get to the playoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so.
And like the big thing about this, like I said, the playoffs taking so long to get to. What happened to you there, Shane?
Oh, I think the internet just decided to kick me off here. I'm not really sure, but I'm back, so hopefully I didn't miss anything too fun.
No. Chad was just raining on your parade a little bit more, saying that we shouldn't be playing those extra games on Saturdays when we're snowed in. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll see how it all goes. Like I said, it's gonna be years away from doing it. I can't imagine they're not gonna do it based on the fact that there's money involved. So anytime there's money involved, you have to maximize that dollar, and especially if they start paying the players, which all signs are pointing to yes. Then yeah, 100% this is happening. So
I just want to see that breakdown.
Yeah,
like how does a kid at Central Michigan get the same amount as a kid at Alabama? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, well, I have no idea how they're going to make that work. I don't know if it's going to be based on sponsorships or if the schools themselves are going to have to do it or whatever the case is. But whatever they decide, I mean, it's not really going to change anything for me. I'm going to keep watching it, whether it's for free or for them getting paid.
You know what is free?
What's that?
YouTube, especially our channel. You got to go and check it out and subscribe.
Hey, that is a great call. I think our YouTube channel is top notch. And I think our guy Liam doesn't get enough credit for all the tech work that he does. So Liam, we appreciate. I know people can't see you right now, but we can see you and we appreciate it.
That's right.
So all right. Baseball stuff. You guys know I'm a baseball guy. I know you guys will follow along with baseball if I start talking about it.
I'm getting there, Shane. I'm starting to really get in that groove, man.
I know the show has kind of relit the fire for you, and I know Chad will watch baseball as long as I put it on.
He's like a little kid, eh? Just put a TV on. Sit here. There's sports on, Chad.
So earlier this week, we were talking about the substances on the belt and on the hat and all the pitches. Okay, so Pete Alonso, who is, he's one of the emerging superstars in baseball, if not considered a superstar. He plays for the Mets. He's a power hitter. Now, he said that it's on the MLB to stop changing the balls, and these pitchers wouldn't be doing this stuff, but he would rather the pitchers have the substance because if someone's going to be throwing a 99-mile-an-hour pitch at him, he would rather they have control over it and it doesn't slip out of their hands. I was like,
hey, he's coming from
that's a fair point,
teammate, right? I understand what he's saying now.
Yeah, man, that's a fair point. Like, if a batter is saying that because he wants the guy to have control and he doesn't really care how it all works out, I'm not sure how much the umpires are going to enforce it if unless for some reason like a manager actually asks an ump to do it.
Well, I just don't get it. He mentioned it there about talking about changing the baseballs. I mean, baseball was starving for fans. And there was a few years ago, it did have quite a bit of a resurgence there for a little bit. And what drives the fans to the game is watching the long ball. Why would you take that away? Like, why make these balls so much harder to get to the fans to hold and have that souvenir? Give them the opportunity to take a little bit of a prize home, if you will, right? I don't know. Maybe for the MLB execs, maybe they think that it's thrilling to see this ball go up, and just come short at the warning tracks. For me, give it the extra 2.5 feet. Go back to the old ball. Do exactly what Alonso said. If he's cool, if this is an up and coming shooter, now again, he's not been in the league long enough to really be making calls like that. But if an up and
5 years probably.
But I mean, like if we're talking, let's say Trout or somebody big name that'd been around, Pujols even. I know he's on the other half of his other third of his career, but if they were to come out and say, you know what, I'm totally fine with it. I dealt with it for the 12 years or 15 years of my career, and it's something that I'm just used to at this point. I understand it's some part of the game. I'll fall in line and say, you guys know the sport better than I do, for sure. But I'm still going to say as a fan, give me the long ball back. Go back to the old baseballs. This is shit what we're seeing now. The strike zone, it seems like it's getting ever bigger. I've mentioned in a few shows prior, guys, I've been kind of like, as far as getting back into the sport, I've been following the umps and some of the calls. There's some websites you can go to where you can check out some of how the umps calls are after the game. They're friggin' brutal. This strike zone is so big, and some of these batters are dealing with some really bad umping. And the balls added onto that isn't helping matters at all.
Right. Well, and part of what Pete Alonso was saying, and like we're not going to get too deep into it because I didn't write down his whole quote, nor did I memorize his whole speech, but he was referencing the MLB changes the ball based on what people are going into free agency and what players are going into arbitration. Essentially saying it's a conspiracy that the owners are like, my power hitter is going into arbitration. We need to do something with the ball so that I don't owe him all this money. Now,
he's on that Leo juice.
Yo, that seems like a lot, right?
That's a hammer that just got dropped. If that is any even remote bit of truth to that, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do they drug test on baseball?
Only steroids. I think you do everything else you want.
Yeah, I think you could do whatever.
Was he hanging out with Kalen before you made that comment?
This dude is on Conspiracy Island. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, there's a lot of money involved in baseball, so is that potentially true? 100%. Would a team like the Yankees care? Probably not. But would a team like Oakland care? Most likely, yeah. But I mean, for baseball, like their popularity, I mean, they could have owned the airwaves back in May or April if they were able to bubble up and figure out something when the coronavirus hit. They were all in training camp. They all could have figured something out. They could have put it together. Imagine that if baseball was the only sporting event on all of last summer until like hockey and basketball fired up. It would have been unreal. I bet you the popularity in baseball would have skyrocketed.
We have a question coming in.
Okay.
John's asking, who is your favorites to win NCAA baseball? In my opinion, Texas, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, or LSU will be the last four standing.
I like that Texas call. My boy.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to baseball, like I only know a couple of the college baseball teams, but I do like Texas, and I mean, I would never fully have admitted to it if this guy didn't ask, or guy or girl, because I don't want Kalen to get his head all big over there. But I think it's a very, very good chance of that happening. And Kalen, I know you think that. Chad, just throw out an answer just because I know you don't.
Hey, Notre Dame made the Super Regionals. That's a big year for us.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah. That's true.
We're not known for our baseball. We're known for our football only, and we have a really good hockey program. But yeah, no, we made the Super Regionals this year, so I'm just happy with that. We'll call it a W for us.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, small victories, right? Let's expand the college baseball World Series while we're at it so we can get Notre Dame in it.
Yeah, well, where's our Notre Dame role for baseball? That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Like the only college baseball I ever usually watch is the on the Big Ten network for like obviously Michigan State. But they're usually not that good, so that we usually don't make it through, to be honest. It's like you're in a division with Nebraska and Michigan and Ohio State and Wisconsin. Like Michigan State's not really a baseball school. But yeah, that answers that. Appreciate the question. Keep them rolling.
Yeah, going back to like what you were talking about the conspiracy and whether or not that could be true or not. You know, like I mentioned this, I think it was last episode or 2 episodes ago. Like I honestly have come to the decision now that I think that baseball, with the cheating that's gone on every other or third year, we hear about a new thing that's going on in baseball. I kind of consider it almost the dirtiest sport, the unwritten dirtiest sport. Everybody knows what's going on, that has kind of let it happen. I could totally see owners doing that. Like if they are aware of things that have been going on in other examples, I'm certain, you know, I could see that happening in the soccer leagues. So I don't put the baseball owners too far away from soccer owners, and I could certainly see them doing something like that. And only because, as you mentioned, the money that's involved in baseball is ridiculous. You need to make sure that you're making something back.
Well, yeah, and that gives them a little bit of control. But Chow, like, what do you think of the conspiracy theory? I mean, I know you just tripped Kalen a little bit, but like, how real could this be?
I think the guy's high as fuck.
I told you he would swear, guys. It's okay.
It's just one of those things. Like, I do think they changed the baseballs. That is a given. But coming to say that it's up to the owners year in and year out to dictate how baseball is going to be played, that's a bit much. They've changed the baseball this year, and like we've definitely, the numbers have changed. It's more.
They change it every year, by the way, like in some form or fashion.
But this year, yeah, it's obviously it's been benefiting a lot of the pitchers and stuff like that. The balls aren't leaving the park like they were. But kind of like what Kalen said, like I didn't go to watch baseball games to watch small ball. I want to see balls leaving stadiums. It's what saved baseball originally. So like, let's not have to go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guys are bigger, faster, and stronger as it is now, just by science. We don't need to like have another scandal like we did. Was it 99? I think that was, or 98. Right. So
you're talking about Sammy Sosa at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Like with
I
this
like
whole
that
conspiracy, I think it's a little obnoxious by Pete there, but I understand his frustrations.
McGuire. Yeah.
Yeah. No steroids happen with those guys.
No, all natural. Yeah. All that.
Same with Barry B. But at the end of the day, I didn't care. I want to see long balls and dingers. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing more exciting than watching a guy hit 75 home runs. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit of hockey. But before we do, we want to make sure everybody is subscribing to our YouTube channel, checking out our Facebook, because we do have lots of content that comes out during the week. But we will be on here Thursdays at 7:30. So you can always check us out on here. But if you want to check out our other content, we do have other pages that are linked up. So let's go to hockey, and I'm gonna eat the big shit sandwich here and say that I was wrong, that the Boston Bruins are not going to beat the Islanders. Now, I know that's really hard to imagine, but it's already happened, and the Islanders have moved on, and the Islanders and the Lightning are playing in a semifinal, which that's a whole different topic that we'll get to. But boys, I'm sorry, I bet on Boston a lot, and we lost a couple of units on that.
Yeah, we did.
But is that kind of how you said? Like yesterday, I even was so confident I picked them by 1.5. Like we had our super boost on Coolbet, and it's just like, that was a bad pick. Whoops.
Man.
Shit.
It's not often that you cheer for a division opponent like that, like a divisional rival, but they've got so many Devils on that team at this point, and Lou Lamoriello was there, Barry Trotz. I'm cheering for the Islanders, man. They're so fun. I still think Vegas takes it down, but I love the Islanders, man.
I'm sorry to all Islanders. Yeah, Islanders are out next round. Eric guaranteed now.
Stop it.
If Kalen's on the bandwagon, the wheel just fell off.
Did you now talking about the next round and their opponent? Did you see Dougie Hamilton's comment today from Carolina?
I did
so
not.
They asked him if he felt that he was close enough, or the team was close enough to be able to compete with a team like Tampa because of how they didn't pan out too well. He said, well, it's pretty tough to compete against a team that is $18 million over the cap. And he's not wrong. It's a $93 million cap was with their salary cap they've got right there because they did with the long-term IR. They put Kucherov on long-term IR for the whole season. So it didn't count against their cap and there is no salary cap in the playoffs. Now I had a Leaf fan message me about that today because he thought that it was a little shitty that the Tampa was able to get away with that, while admitting they were doing the same thing with Riley Nash and they've done the same thing in the past with Nathan Horton. But what do you think of that? We're not talking a few $1 million. This year, the Leafs walked into the playoffs about $3 million over the cap or $4 million over the cap. We're talking $18 million. That could be 2 superstars, right? In reality, that you can get away with.
Yeah. Well, and before I continue on with what you're talking about, I believe that I have decided to move Leafs fans ahead of Habs fans for the worst type of fan in hockey that there is. Because there is nothing worse than somebody that whines after getting their asses pummeled.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, guys, take the L. It's over. It doesn't matter. You collapsed. You collapse every single year. Don't act so shocked about it.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny? I know that I hopped on the wagon. I'm an open Devils fan. I'm not a Leaf fan, even though we're in Leaf country. It's funny to see how many Leaf fans were cheering for the Islanders last night. You know, just because they finally Boston got knocked out. Our big bad Boston we can't beat ever got knocked out.
Look, when the when the Steelers lost to the Browns last year in the playoffs, I was pissed. But at no point in my mind did I ever think like, no, I'm not a Steelers fan anymore. Like we haven't won a playoff game in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
Yeah.
And the next day, you know, I felt better. 2 days later, I'm back at the altar. I'm ready to start praying. Let's go off-season time. Like I you know, the loss is over. The fact that Leafs fans are
prayer works.
Yeah. Oh man, I was happy about that.
Prayer was answered for you when you had nausea.
But these Leafs fans were eliminated weeks ago. Just get over it, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I've said this whole time. Leafs
the girl
fans,
broke up with you. It's over.
Raptors fans, Jays fans, they're idiots. I know, Shane. I know you're a Blue Jays fan. I get that, but it's true. How many times, like when we had our run in 15 and 16, everybody came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and they thought they're the world's biggest Jays fans. They had Kawasaki jerseys all over the world, and then what happens? And what do you see? You don't see no Toronto fans anymore. No one admits they're Jays fans anymore. It's just like Leafs fans are the worst people in the world. They're up there with Patriots fans and Cowboys fans.
And honestly, like I'm almost willing to push Seahawks fans up there now too. With like they don't really have a history of winning, to be honest. I mean, they have good regular seasons, but it seems like Seahawks fans expect their team to be a perennial winner, and they don't even have an offensive line. Like they don't have anybody that plays on the front seven on either side.
I think they were just so used to having the NFC West be fairly weak, and it's been a few years since that's been the case. But they've got that brainwash mentality that they're still in a bad division, and they're not. It's going to get real tough.
Yeah. Well, okay. Tough divisions. Let's talk tough divisions. So
yeah, fuck hockey. Go back to football.
No, we are still talking about hockey.
Okay.
We are talking about the Golden Knights and the Avalanche.
Holy hell! What a battle!
First 2 games, Avalanche slapped them in the face with.
Had a little help
unknown object
in that second game. They had a little help in that second game, maybe.
And then 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row. They stormed back right through the castle. They have an opportunity to finish it off tonight. So, do they finish it off tonight? Does this thing go to 7? Is Colorado's on the ropes? They're toast?
I think so. I think defensively, Vegas has kind of figured it out at this point. They put Fleury back in, and after that game 1, and they got him kind of warmed back up again. And Colorado's a great team. I just think that Vegas has figured them out at this point. You can't come back and do what they've done. 3 straight games, guys, against Colorado. That's unheard of. Against that team, like this year specifically, I think that you're just going to have to win that 4th.
I took Colorado tonight. I took them on the money line. I can't see a team that good losing. Like front to back, they're probably the best team on paper too. They've played phenomenal into the last couple games. I think they went like 22-0-1 in the last 23 games played. Then they lost game 3.
Right.
I don't think that's going to continue on. I actually took I took the win tonight. I took the over in the game too. I think they're going to put a lot of pucks in the net with their backs against the wall, and we're going to see who the real Colorado Avalanche are. I think the last 3 games we kind of haven't seen that, and I know I took them to win the Stanley Cup. I took them in Tampa to be there. But I'm not saying it because of like I took them. It's the fact that I don't think a team that good can lose 4 games in a row. And it's just that simple.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean that is a fair point, and I definitely like Colorado tonight. But if it comes to a game 7 and we're talking about Marc-Andre Fleury, you guys know where my loyalty stands.
Yeah.
And their defensive, like the way they operated their defense has completely changed. It changed about the second half of that game too, where you could see they stopped letting Colorado come to them, and they became like a puck hungry team. They had 2-on-1 every time. If the puck went to another forward, there was 2 there. If it went to a defenseman, 2 there. It just seemed that they're just swarming towards each player each time. And you can see that in game 4. That team was all over. It was a hornet's nest. It looked like when the puck was on the ice, they were just attacking that thing. So if they can carry that same mentality, and that's why I say that I think they figured it out. They just stopped letting Colorado come to them and do these fancy plays. There's no more fancy plays. That's not happening anymore. If you're going to get into my net, you're going to have to park somebody in front of the net, and they're going to have to do the dirty work is what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. No. And that's a fair point. I mean, we'll see what the puck's going to drop around 9:00 Eastern tonight, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, Chad goes to bed at 8:45 Eastern. But next, you guys want to preview the Islanders and the Lightning, or you want to talk MVP of hockey? Dealer's choice. All right. So let's just go on MVP, because I mean, honestly, I don't even know when that other series starts, and who cares about it? I don't really care that much about it. So we have the 3 finalists for the Hart Trophy, which for anybody that's not super familiar with hockey, that's the MVP of hockey, which generally goes to the person that leads in points. Now we got Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. Where are you guys leaning?
It has to be McDavid. I think it's not even close.
I mean,
the guy had 100 points, over 100 points.
As long as there's no consideration about the playoffs.
Yeah,
I've always wondered that. I've always thought that. I know that they always say that they don't have that consideration in play. Well, I do not know why voting isn't done before the playoffs happen. They do this in other sports too. Both Austin Matthews and Connor let their teams down and turn into absolute ghosts. You know, who didn't was Nathan McKinnon, and he did it the entire season. And he's probably one of the main reasons Colorado is where they are. Like, right. He drives that team from front to end. And realistically, Chad's right. Connor McDavid should have the MVP. But again, if any of that creeps into the voters' minds, maybe McKinnon is the one who gets it for that reason.
Right. And for that, if you were a voter, would you sway with playoff stats, or would you cut it off like kind of like the teachers submit their report cards on June the 10th, but you have to go to school until the end of June?
Yeah. Don't ask me how I feel with teachers this year.
Yeah. Hey, let's not get into that. That might be a topic for a different show. People smarter than us. I want to say
I wouldn't bring the playoffs in if like you're not supposed to. But I think it'd be very hard not to, as you're supposed to be the best player in the world, 2 of the best players in the world, and the best player on your respective team, and you did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Now, how do I give you a trophy that says you're the best player in the league this year? It's going to be really tough. The rules are you're not supposed to. I think if McDavid didn't have the season he did, this would be a different conversation. I think this year he's okay with it, and I think he gets away with it. But I think if it was to keep going forward and the same thing happened again like it has the last few years, it's going to be tough to keep giving it to him when they can't get by that hump.
Right. Well,
and also, of the 3, who plays defense? You know what I mean?
None of them are defensemen.
No, but I mean, who's a 2-way forward? Connor certainly shows flashes of that. It's not very often, but he certainly shows flashes. Austin Matthews is the same. He shows flashes, I would say, more than Connor McDavid, but not much more. But again, I have to come back. Front to end, McKinnon carries that team. He plays every aspect of the game. And I think if you're going to talk about most valuable, that's what you have to focus on. It's not just pucks in the net. It's stopping pucks from getting into your zone too, and he does a hell of a job at it.
Yeah, sorry, I was just pouring my beer from Toboggan Brewing Company.
Toboggan.
Yeah. Do you remember a couple years ago when everyone wanted to write off Nathan McKinnon?
Well,
Like
yeah, I think
Colorado was going through some tough times, and everybody wanted to write him off. Like, man, that was a stupid decision. But yeah, anyway, like if it was me, I just feel like it's going to be McDavid because he was the most popular player all year, and his stats stand out the most. Playoffs, no playoffs, doesn't really matter. Okay. Well, let's talk about and Chad's been salivating for a little football talk. Let's talk about a guy that is going to be number 2 in the playbook, but number 1 on the depth chart. Julio Jones.
Did we see his warm-ups today, boys? Did we see those?
No, I didn't. I saw him that he was showing up to the facility, but I haven't actually seen any of that stuff.
Did a little OTA stuff. Did some of the footwork drills. Looking good. Saying he's healthy. Telling teams they've got to pick their poison already. So he's talking for me. I love it. And there was a really cool picture, man. I know that I'm probably reading into it too much because I'm a Titans fan, of course. There was a really cool picture and a meme made of him hugging John Robinson as like Robinson came to the OTA. And on the outside looking in, it was one of those thanks for saving me kind of thing. Thanks for getting me out of Atlanta kind of thing.
Is that the GM?
He's the GM, yeah.
Okay.
And I've said a few days ago, sorry, I'm excited for this offense this year, man. We are going to see lots of dancing in the end zone between Julio and AJ Brown. We don't have a tight end, so that's the only people that are going to be catching balls there. But it's going to be fun, man. Chad, what do you think, buddy?
What about sticky fingers? You said you don't have a tight end. I thought you had a guy named Sticky Fingers.
Ask anybody who's not a Titans fan and who Ferkser is, and nobody's going to be able to tell you that. I know you know just because I've brought him up a couple of times.
I keep my ear to the street, but anyway, Chad, go ahead.
So yeah, Chad,
it's your moment. It's your moment.
It's a big thing for Tennessee fans to have false hope. I do think you guys are going to have one of the best passing offenses in the league, and I think you might have one of the best offenses in the league. But I just don't know if that's enough in the AFC. If you play in the NFC, I think I'd be a lot more confident about it, even though I'm a Tampa fan and we run the NFC. I think it'd be very hard for you guys to do that with who you have to play.
Right.
Kansas City's lights out. They got significantly better. Buffalo only improved. You guys, there's an upgrade. 100% there's an upgrade. But can you beat those top 2 teams? And I just don't think there's anybody else that can pull those 2 guys off their pedestals right now. And that includes Shane Steelers. I think he knows where they're at too. They're not ready yet.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
It's just, I think it comes down to I think Julio's going to eat. AJ's going to eat. Derrick Henry's going to eat. And I think Ryan Tannehill, I can't believe you're going to say this. I think it might bring him into the top 4 and 5 quarterbacks in the league. Is
that what you're saying?
You just jinxed it for everybody, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Tannehill, come on.
With all the weapons
Tannehill blows at his knee in training camp.
And the respect they have to give to Derrick Henry, I think that's going to make Tannehill's job very easy. And like you said, you guys don't have a tight end. I think this year you will. For the simple fact of how they're going to have to play you guys. You're going to have to double one of the 2 guys outside. You're going to put a safety over top of the other, drifting. And I think that middle of the field's being wide open because the linebackers still have to respect the run. So I think, you'd say you don't have a tight end. I think we're going to find out who it is. And if he doesn't ball out, I think that's an easy way out. And they're going to find someone who can.
Now, I'm just throwing an idea out there. I saw it on the NFL boards. It wasn't a Titans board. It was on an NFL board. There's been a tight end that's been very vocal. He wants out of his team in the NFC, and a team that hasn't been able to find a trading partner right now. I know he's old. Ertz. That's right. Now, the reason why this got mentioned during this, the amount of money that was restructured in Tannehill's contract freed up more than enough for Julio and some extras. Now, the average fan, you would say carry over cap room or going into the season potential injury. Now you have some cap room to make up for it. But this guy had hopped on the idea that it seemed to be just above the number to be able to fit in Ertz' contract if they wanted to go that route. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. But the fact that we don't have a tight end and we have a guy who wants to get out of the team that he's on in the NFC, and usually you don't trade within your own conference, maybe it's a small trade again potentially. But again, I'm just pipe dream.
Yeah,
Is
you want
Eifert still
Zach Ertz?
available?
Sorry?
He might be. He might be.
Who's
Yeah.
I think Eifert's still available too, man. That guy still got football left in him.
Yeah.
Zach Eifert, yeah, or Tyler Eifert, right? Sorry, Tyler Eifert.
But why would you even want Zach Ertz? He stinks.
Well, I mean, he stinks in the Philadelphia offense when their best receiver is Jalen Reagor, who is a kick returner. I mean, he's really had to deal with a whole lot of bullshit surrounding him, and he has become the number one receiver there. When I say receiver, he's not getting the receiving yards, but he's the number one option by default because the receivers there are garbage.
Right.
Now, can he do more in Tennessee? We did more with less. Jeff Swaim and Michael Pruitt, who just got signed by the Niners. So these are names that nobody would ever know if you weren't a Titans fan, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna guess and say that you need a blocking tight end, not an actual catching tight end, because you got that kid. What'd you say his name was? Fiskers?
Firkser. Anthony Firkser.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. If you got that dude that can catch balls and he can at least just be average, because the other two guys are going to eat up a lot of the coverage. I don't think that you need to go and spend money on a tight end. Just go get somebody that can block or stack your line.
So
put an extra tackle.
we got a comment in the chat here saying Julio Jones will not make the Pro Bowl. Tannehill cannot throw a deep ball.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
wonderful. So I would love to talk to that young fella there or young lady out there. According to, and I have this open because it just was this week that I got put up. There was a thread that was put up on Twitter. You guys know that I love my analytics, talking about deep ball accuracy, and a deep ball is considered anything over 15 yards. Tannehill was number 4 in the NFL, and that's one of the reasons why I sent that stat line showing 6 different options of quarterbacks or 7 different options, and to pick who they may be and who you would rank them, kind of thing.
So that's a 15-yard out that's overthrown, so it takes it to 16 yards, right? And then someone makes a play. Isn't that what you mean? If it's only 16-yard passes.
No, it could be a 25-yard bomb. It's anything over 15, right? So 15 and beyond.
Could be. Doesn't mean it is. Yeah.
You guys.
Hey, how about that guy? I'm not sure, man. I think that Tannehill has a strong arm. I just don't know if he can throw the deep ball, like kind of what that guy's saying. He's used to Matt Ryan. You can't tell me that you think Ryan Tannehill has a better arm than Matt Ryan.
I'm not going to sit here and play Homer's advocate at all by any means.
Oh, you can't help yourself.
I just said I'm not going to sit here and play Homer's advocate. I'm not going to sit here and pound the table that Ryan Tannehill has a better arm than Matt Ryan. But I will say that over the last 3 years, to say that he isn't a good deep ball thrower, 2 years, is pretty crazy.
I think that guy hurt your feelings.
I said this. I said it last year. I'll say it all the time, man. The Titans don't get coverage, so nobody's going to know that kind of stuff. Did you guys talk about they're going to be one of the top offenses of the NFL? Well, they have been for 2 years. This is not something new.
Did you just say our viewer doesn't know anything?
No, I'm saying that I was using the example that Chad said, that they don't know about the Titans. And I know.
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I just don't think that you guys can compete with Kansas City and Buffalo. That's all it is. As a team, offensively, yeah, you can. But do you want to get in a shootout with those two teams? I don't think you do.
Right.
Oh yeah, and that defense is going to be the Achilles heel, man. Whole lot of new names, secondaries, a whole bunch of new stuff too.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I think your offense is on fire, but I think it's going to be tough for you guys when you get into the deep parts of the playoffs.
Well, that's where I think that Henry comes in. Wind the clock down, right? Run the clock, hopefully.
It didn't work out for you last year.
So I'm just going to give you a scenario, and I'm not saying that this is accurate or it's going to happen, but let's just say that the Titans start 1-4, and Julio Jones isn't getting the ball a lot. AJ Brown's not getting the ball a lot. Derrick Henry's getting the ball a lot. Do people start complaining?
This is the talk in Tampa last year. It's a fair question.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I'm a little biased because it's my question, but I think it's a fantastic question.
I mean, I would have to say yes. AJ has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. We're going to expect something of that or more than of him this season.
I'm not talking about from the fans. I'm talking about from the players. I'm saying, does Julio Jones and AJ Brown start demanding the ball if they're losing, if they're starting to lose games?
I don't know. I mean, at the same token, I mean, Tennessee is what Tennessee is for the last decade. We have not. This is the last couple of years, or last year specifically, was the first year we even had a real passing offense. I mean, we've been a running team for as long as I've been a Titans fan. So I think you kind of know what you're signed up for when you're there. Julio, one of the things that he mentioned today in his presser, he went on and on about being how he focuses on the block of the running game and tries to be a better blocking receiver. So I think that he's kind of coming into it being like, yeah, I'm going to have to put a little bit of work in, but flip the script, man. One play action and here's the ball. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
well, that's that. Okay. So you said flip the script. So let's do it the opposite. Let's say the new offensive coordinator comes in and he likes to throw the ball and they're not giving the ball to Derrick Henry enough. And Derrick Henry isn't getting the carries he's used to and they're losing games. Does Derrick Henry start demanding the ball?
Of all the people in the offense that I think that I'd be worried about grumbling, Derrick Henry would be the last one. He's been since Alabama, he has talked about team first mentality. He doesn't care about his yards. He's already got paid. Like the next contract he's going to get is going to be when he's nearly 30 years old. He's going to be in his 30th year turning. So he doesn't really have to worry about money and accolades. He's made 2 back-to-back great years being a starter. I'm not worried about Derrick.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's made a little bit of money, but he probably wants a second contract, and you just got ready to cut the guy because he's almost 30.
That'd be his third contract.
Third contract? Well, let's get him paid again, man. Yeah, let's get him paid, man. Let's not put the guy down. I know that you just tried to cut him off your roster because he's 30, but let's keep him on there. I think Tennessee's might be building something, Kevin. Why wouldn't blow it up so quick?
On that note of
you really took that and ran with it somehow, didn't you?
I can't.
What they're going to do if they start 1-4. I was thinking about this today, and what happens in Chicago, because they've already come in and said Andy Dalton's going to be the starter. As a team and a fan base who already has just been used to being mediocre at best, you drafted a franchise quarterback in the first round.
Right.
He
got
fell
a steal.
You.
He's a steal.
He fell to you. Like, that's a top 3 talent that fell to you. Matt Nagy's already come out and said he's going to treat this Andy Dalton situation the way they treated Alex Smith in Kansas City. Andy Dalton's not Alex Smith.
Oh, you mean Pat? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, with Patrick Mahomes.
Sorry, I wasn't following. Yeah, okay.
And how the goal is to keep Andy Dalton in all year long, and Justin Fields to come in only if they need him the last week of the season. I think, first of all, that's wishful thinking by Matt Nagy that they're going to be in a position that they're going to have a bye in week 17. But everything we've seen so far, Justin Fields has balled out.
Yeah.
How do you bench that guy for Andy Dalton? Like, once again, is it 1 and 2? Is that the leash? Or is it 3 and 7 is when you make that call? Like, Chicago's a tough place to play for fan base wise. And now you have this kid sitting there ready to go. He's been a winner pretty much everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
And now you're going to say, oh, we have this veteran who's literally done absolutely nothing with his career. He had a couple good years. Like, he's probably the only quarterback to win in Cincinnati.
Not a playoff game.
Did he start his first year, his rookie year? Or did he back anybody up? Andy Dalton.
No, he was a starter.
Yeah,
he was a starter, right? Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
But yeah, it's like, what's the leash going to be on Andy Dalton? Is it like, obviously they come out and they go 3-1. That's a different story, but they're not going to. It's the Bears.
Well, so if you look at it, like, I guess there's multiple ways to look at it. So if you look at it in the sense that Aaron Rodgers is most likely out of your division this year, maybe next year, I don't know, maybe 2 years. Like, are you playing for this year if Aaron Rodgers is in your division? Probably not. I mean, you're not going to win your division if he's in it. The Vikings aren't awful. I mean, you get a guaranteed 2 wins against the Lions. So at the very least for Bears fans, they can expect to be 2-15. But there's also the flip side of, do you want to expose a guy like Justin Fields to all this before he's ready and have him kind of bust out and lose all of his confidence when you know that Aaron Rodgers is likely out of your division in the next couple of years?
If Aaron Rodgers holds out, do you start Fields?
If he's ready in practice, absolutely. Like, if the only thing holding you back is the fact that you've already made your stance with Andy Dalton and you don't want to go back on your word, I say no way. And Fields is it.
I'm just looking at their schedule right now, and it might actually just be Fields week 1. Like, honestly, they got the Rams. They got the Rams week 1, which is obviously tough, but then you back that up
Yep.
with the Bengals, the Browns, Detroit, and Vegas. I mean, there's a good team there, a decent, easy. Don't bite my head off, Shane. But there's a good team in Cleveland there in that stretch. But you got a bunch of bad teams you could potentially go against and get your feel for the NFL. I mean, you're really going to get woken up going against LA, but I mean, I say LA, I mean the Rams, by the way, not the Chargers.
Yeah, well, let them have a guy go against Aaron Donald in his first game. You're never going to see you're never going to see a better defensive player than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that'll open your eyes, and I think that he can get away from him. And I mean, Chad and I talked about this a lot, and I know that you kind of agree. Like Zach Wilson kind of came out of nowhere. Justin Fields should be on the Jets.
Yeah.
And we aren't Jets fans. We are not. We have no skin in this game at all. But the fact that he was picked by the Bears, and I think it was, what was it, 14, 15,
13 or 14, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's absolutely absurd. And if you have a guy like that, just start him. There's no reason to throw in a guy like Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton sucks. The guy was on the Cowboys with 3 amazing receivers last year, and he was shitty.
He was dog shit.
Yeah, he doesn't have it in
head.
him.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, doesn't have it in him.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, the run game in Dallas, you would have to assume, is better than the run game in Chicago. And the only thing that can support
you guys really loved it last year.
the only thing that could strengthen your run game in Chicago is maybe get yourself a quarterback that can move around in the pocket. And Andy Dalton's not that guy. He hasn't even gripped a football correctly since Stephon Tuitt rocked him, and he broke his hand and was out for the season. So I don't know, man. I don't even think – I think it's a no-brainer. But I am curious of – Kaylin and I talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but Chad was on vacation. So I'm going to bring it back up to Chad. When it comes to Mac Jones, I mean, obviously Cam Newton's a little bit banged up right now. I would imagine that he will be in okay shape by the time the season comes around. But does something
Mac
like this,
Jones or Cam Newton?
Yeah, both of them.
You said he's going to be in shape. Just checking.
Oh, no, Mac Jones won't be in shape. No, he's a bag of milk.
These people don't know that I call him a bag of milk.
Yeah. That's hey, he's just an average dude out there playing quarterback. That was like Tom Brady.
Emphasis on average.
Yeah, you know what? He's out there. He's doing the best thing. He took his shirt off and smoked a cigar. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I have that kind of confidence. So good for him. Throw him in there. He's ready to roll. But do you see any chance that Mac Jones is the number 1 starter week 1?
Week 1?
Yes.
No.
John,
how about
saying Mac Jones starts week 5?
That's what I said.
Okay. That was going to be my next question, because how good are the odds that they would ever throw Mac Jones in to play Tom Brady in Foxborough in his first year? How could they possibly do that to him with the fan base? So that's a great question. Who asked that question?
Liam.
Who asked that question?
Week 5.
John, I love that question. Appreciate it. Keep him rolling.
I just think you can't let your future quarterback walk into that situation. I don't care how much swagger he thinks he has or how much you think he is the future of your team. That place is going to erupt when Tom Brady walks through that tunnel. And on every single touchdown, every single first down, no one's going to boo. And you better hope you realize that when that happens, that you have to have a guy like Cam there to take that bullet. And that's what it's going to come down to. And then after that, you can say, hey, Cam, you went 1-3. We gave you your shot. We're going to go with Mac. But you have to get that game out of the way first.
So that's week 4, just so we know too. Bucks is week 4. Week 5 is Texans. That certainly could be a game that Cam goes in, gets his ass kicked against the Bucks, and they say 5 at the Texans, go on in Mac.
Well, how about this? How about this? Yeah. So, sorry, I don't mean to yell at you. I'm too close to my mic. How about this? The Patriots and Cam Newton beat Tom Brady in Foxborough.
Bullshit.
Not a chance.
How about
Not
that
a
happens?
chance.
How about that happens? Does Mac Jones play for the rest of the season if that happens? Does that buy him enough goodwill for the whole season?
If New England beats the Bucks, it's not going to be because of Cam Newton. It would have to be because of that defense. That offense is not going to beat Tampa Bay. Not going to happen. And I don't think the defense would either. But they do have a lot of people coming back that didn't play last year, so they're certainly going to be better than last year. But that's the only reason.
Offense has got a lot of weapons. They got tight ends there. You guys don't even have tight ends in Tennessee. They have tight ends.
They took one of them.
Hey! They got a couple tight ends there. They got I don't think they have any receivers.
They have a killer track record with tight ends in New England.
Oh my god! You're the just.
Well, and then Hunter. I know it was only a scare, but Hunter Henry got hurt today, so he'll be back for camp or whatever. Anyway, who are the receivers? Did they not sign a receiver? Is it still just Keneal Harry and Demarius Byrd? I thought they signed a receiver, didn't they?
I don't know, man. I think that they were looking to draft a receiver or two, but they're not very good at that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if they did pay. I think that they were in the Julio Jones sweepstake.
Yeah, which is crazy that for them, for people that trade down or trade out of their draft spot all the time, a second round, like what did they give up for Randy Moss?
It's 3, I think. It's 3 and a 4.
Yeah.
Like I know it's Moss, but Jesus.
Yeah. Well, so for the Patriots were sniffing around everybody. They looked at TY and they looked at Juju, but you know, why it's the same reason why no receivers are signing in Baltimore, because why would you sign up for a quarterback that can't throw it to you?
Yeah. So the receivers there in New England, Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. Nelson had one good year in Las Vegas and somehow got paid off of it. Guy drops everything. He has more drops than Eric Ebron.
Well, and Aguilar had a good season because he was surrounded by talented player. Like he didn't have to be the number one, but if Aguilar is going in there to New England to be the number one receiver, like I might have to take back my comment. I'm not sure if Cam did. I don't know if Cam's got enough to get him over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever. We'll see. Like I was really curious to see what Chad's opinion on that was. Quick thing, and then we're probably going to sign off soon.
I got one little bit about NBA. A question I want to ask about NBA after you do your little bit here.
Okay. So, did you guys see that Russell Wilson came out today and said that he did not request a trade and that was all fabricated? But wasn't he the one that was like posting it or whatever? Like, I honestly didn't go back and look at it, but like,
wasn't it like Team 3 or something? Like his Walmart version of TB12 was coming out saying this.
Oh my God. It was like all his body language and everything. Remember when he was like accepting that award or something like that? He was like standing up there like all pissy or something like after. It was terrible. It was pretty blatantly obvious there was something going on there. But talk. If that's the case, why didn't you say something 3 months ago when the fan base was maybe making comments?
His wife wanted the trade and he didn't want to have to sit there and be a man and say, no, we're staying here.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I was kind of perplexed by the whole thing. Why come out now? Yeah, if you actually didn't, then why didn't you just clear it up before? It's not like you weren't all over Instagram and Facebook and doing interviews, so you could have just, I don't know, put it to bed. But it seems like you asked, they said, hell no, and you're like, oh, it's my idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I've been watching a lot of these, like lately my thing on YouTube, I'm following into these interrogation videos, like people like blatantly lying in an interrogation. This is the case of somebody to me getting caught red-handed and be like, it's such a bad lie to me. But then, it's Russell and
we are going to post one of those tomorrow of Liam's going to make it. It's going to be you saying Ryan Tannehill can throw the deep ball.
You son of a bitch. I'm going to come. We're going to see.
Yo, you keep my mother's name out of your mouth.
We'll see what Ryan Tannehill's deep ball number looks like at the end of this year, boys. We'll see.
Okay.
I finally stuck up for you, dude. You're coming at me.
Yeah, he did. He came at you
twice today, and this is
he came at you hard.
I missed you, Chad. You were gone on Monday.
Yeah.
So my question with the NBA. I know you guys don't watch a lot of NBA, if any at all. But you certainly know that the Nets are a god squad, right? They're very well built, to say the least. Now they haven't been using Harden to play against the Bucks so far in this series, and they're up 2-0 right now, right? What are you giggling about over there, Shane?
I'm listening to you. Keep going.
Okay. So they haven't met. The Harden's been injured. He hasn't been playing. A question was asked in one of the group chats that I'm in. Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the Bucks there, 2-time MVP, defensive player of the year, yada, yada, yada. Does this hurt his image if they get swept. How do you feel about
Well,
that? I know you're an outsider.
They're
in the
playing the
sport looking
fucking
in.
dream team.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly what I said.
Also, I mean, no, because James Harden's sitting out today because of rest or something. Or you said he was hurt?
He's hurt. He's hurt. Yeah, he missed the first 2 games, so he's not playing.
He's not playing, and the Bucks are at home, and the Bucks are favored. And I'm gonna guess and say that Milwaukee probably wins the next 2.
Yeah, I do think Milwaukee pulls a win. I did think that it was going to be in 5 games, but the counter argument when I said that, just like you, they're playing the God Squad, the dream team. They're playing an amazing team. Like their counter was, yeah, but the Celtics were able to get 1 game without Brown and Tatum. But my counter to that was Tatum had to draw 50, and Kyrie had to be an absolute ghost until the 4th quarter. And when he did start to actually play, the game got much closer. So I think that they barely squeaked that 1 win out. But I don't think that there's enough credit given to what they're facing. We've seen the first super team that we saw was the Celtics, my team that I fell in love with back with KG and Pierce and them. Think of what we've seen since then. This is far more than what even the Golden State Warriors were there 4 years ago. This team is from top to bottom, all big names. Blake Griffin is getting minutes, man. It's an incredible. I just think they're not giving enough credit to what is on the floor there. There's not many teams, if any, that can beat the Nets. At this point, it's their year. It's going to be them probably against the Clippers, and that's a shame. I would have liked to see Utah or Denver get in there. But
did Blake Griffin just stump the whole NBA? Because he sucked balls in Detroit.
Yeah, he just stopped trying.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have his CP3. Now, that being said, Phoenix is like, there's a reason that they are where they are, and it's not Devin Booker's transgression as a player. CP3 is a coach on the court. Like everybody has known that for a long time. But when you take that player away from somebody like Blake, that was what made him. It was Lob City, right? That was their nickname back in the day. They didn't have anybody like that in Detroit that was going to be able to read the court and be able to give draw the defense into him enough and be able to read what's about to happen next to lob it up to Blake. So Blake got lucky going to the Nets, man. That's a godsend for him.
Do you guys know the movie Encino Man?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if we went Encino Man from about 25 years ago, and you got thawed out today, and someone was like, LA and New York are on a collision course for the NBA Finals. It's not the Clippers and the Nets. I could tell you that much. And I mean, I'm not a huge NBA fan. Like, I don't sit down and I'll watch it occasionally. But the fact that there's 2 teams like that have been able to build super teams out of their market, I think that's kind of cool. But I do think that Brooklyn's going to get past Milwaukee, but I don't think they're going to get swept. So anyway, is that all you guys got?
That's all I got, my man.
All right. Well, we went for 2, so let's sign off. Go for 2. Make sure you check out the YouTube, Facebook.
Oh, got a question.
All right. Hey, we are in overtime. We
got one more question. John is asking, do you think the Knicks will get Lillard next year?
That's a great question, too. The Knicks are going to get Lillard.
Oh, you know what? I honestly don't think that. I think if any, Dame's not going anywhere. Portland's his place, man. I think he's sticking around.
No, man, I got to tell you, you know what? Like, everybody says that until it's time to leave. Like, I could see Dame being the guy saying, you know what? I'm cool here. I'm good here. I'm good here. But it only takes a couple of times to lose in the playoffs for that to kind of get old. And could you imagine how much better the Knicks would be with a guy with Dame?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, Battle in New York would be friggin' crazy. The Knicks and the Nets, that would be an absolute draw to Madison Square Garden. They haven't been able to see there in years. So yeah, that'd be really, really awesome for the NBA. The Knicks are the Knicks, man. They're like the Edmonton Oilers to me of the NBA. They've been trying and they've been drafting well and not doing much. So
right. Well, yeah, no, that's another great. Do we have any more questions, Lou?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. I feel
John, thanks for the question, man. Love the interaction.
Yeah, I feel like we could probably go for another hour, so maybe convince us. But this was our first show. I think it went well. Let us know how we did. Feel free to keep watching it, keep commenting on it. And we're going to sign off for today, but make sure you go check out the YouTube, the Facebook, the Instagram. Soon enough, we'll be on Twitch. And we'll see you guys next week.
No hot tubs on Twitch, though, boys. No hot tubs, right?
Speak for yourself.